Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Namofsky. Today's episode, we're discussing empowering yourself to make the hard choices in life. So let's get to it. What does empowerment mean to you?
To me, empowerment is the power to be yourself. It's all about the freedom to be authentic, to make authentic choices, to rely and trust our own intuition to make life choices. It's independent of whatever the world, the culture, the religion, the systems around you are telling you. And when we have the ability to not just trust that voice, but to act on it, that is our true empowerment. And the second step of empowerment to be is to empower others. To me, that's a big part of my life and always will be. It's so deeply ingrained in my core that I'm always looking for ways to pay it forward. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I'm becoming a doctor now. That's why I am doing everything that I do comes from that place that I know what it's like to be in that position. I know what it's like to receive that support and help from sometimes complete strangers who shone a light into my otherwise dark world. And I want to help others see the light they have within themselves. So empowerment to me is that being completely authentic to who you are, and then also helping others do the same thing.
I think it's important to help others. You never know. I mean, kindness and paying it forward is really important because you never know what somebody else is going through. And we learned the hard way that a lot of women during COVID lockdown were locked down with their abusers, which, people didn't understand because women would go to work and do their job and not say anything and, go home to their abusers. So what was driving you through your difficult times when you were going through that?
To me, at that time, I didn't have any kind of master plan that I'm going to leave. But the one thing, again, I keep coming back to it was education. The drive to get an education was something that never left me. I was ready to give up on everything else, but not my school. So that kept me going. And once I got to get my education, once I was in university, and now suddenly I was being treated with so much kindness and respect for the very things that I was ridiculed all my life for, my ambition, my intelligence, my individuality, which is what ultimately gave me the power and the knowledge to be able to leave. So, and when you talk about, how in the pandemic we've seen abuse go multifold, and some of the statistics from across Canada are up to 400% rise in the number of calls that helplines are getting. And the reason is that isolation is an abuser's best friend. And now, during the pandemic, isolation was the norm, right? So isolation means ease to control their victims. So it was not surprising at all, as heartbreaking as it was not surprising that a lot of domestic violence statistics went through the roof during the pandemic. So in that sort of situation, you're cut off from a lot of your support systems. If let's say, the slogan was stay home, stay safe. Well, what if home is not safe?
Yeah.
What if workplace is the only safe place and you're not allowed to go there anymore? What, you're not allowed to connect with your colleagues if that's the only place you feel empowered, and now you're suddenly 24/7 hearing how you're worthless and useless and not good enough, and it becomes part of our psyche. So a lot of my work today, not even on a personal level, is about unlearning those beliefs and those stereotypes and those dialogue that I was told for so long, which became part of my mental blueprint. So, my next book, which is coming out in a year and a half, is all about unlearning all of that, unconditioning ourselves, and being our true, empowered, authentic selves.
So we have about a minute before we go to break. What did you tell yourself when you were in isolation and when you were locked up and you felt like giving up? Because I'm sure there are a lot of women out there that are in the same situation that you are in now.
Yeah, at that time, I just told myself again and again, if I give up on my dreams, then who'll fight for them if I don't fight for them, right? And I think it was also those little moments of kindness, and we touched upon it a little while ago, and I'll quickly share a tiny story from my book, actually, where I was at a Tim Hortons trying to buy a donut for my daughter, and I put my hand into my purse, and I could not find the toonie that I was sure was there. And I turned my purse inside out. It wasn't there. And I was just mortified, embarrassed. And a kind person behind me offered to buy that donut for my daughter and insisted on it. And then when I went out of the Tim's and I sat at the bench and I was just crying profusely, I felt so powerless, so pathetic. And I felt so hopeless. Yet there was this also this little tiny ray of light.